Hey everybody, peace be still. This is Tosha, and you are tuning in to the Supernova Tosha Show podcast, the show that addresses social issues and how it affects our community. Today, we are going to be discussing DC Freeway Phantom. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of the DC Freeway Phantom, but I'm going to tell you this is a heavy topic tonight, and you know, how I came up with it. Let me just say, I spill a lot of beans about myself. I don't tell you a lot about myself, which I know I've gotten feedback about that. I don't know why, but here you go. Here's some things about me because, first of all, it's not a show about me, and me. I'm not like a self-absorbed person to always make myself like the star of the show or, the star, the center of attraction. But here are a few tidbits that I can share with you. Obviously, I like to talk. So if you're ever around me in person, I am very talkative and I can talk for on and on. I also do dream of having my own talk show, that's syndicated and, on television, of course, and it'll transcend into social media. I'm all about cozy bed slippers. I love a cozy bed slippers. I can never have too many. If I have 100, 200, I love them. Anything pink. I love pink. That's like my favorite color. Anything that's pink, it's sparkly, it's blingy. That's all me. And I like heat. I'm like a heat-seeking missile for anything that's warm. Like my next thing I'm going to gift myself is a towel warmer. I want a towel warmer, and I love hot tea. I love heating pads. I love hot oil, and I love sunshine. So anywhere, any travel plans that I have, some people like to go snowing, snowboarding, or I don't know, just to like go to Alaska. I'm never interested in stuff like that. If it has beach, if it has sunshine, if it's tropical, if it's warm, that's me. I'm all about heat. I am a heat-seeking missile. So, and I crave peace. I crave quiet. I love tranquility. Like I can just sit out by the pool with a cup of hot chocolate. Yes, in 95-degree weather with hot chocolate. And I have a definite soft spot for little people, meaning children. I'm not the person that's gonna have 100 kids around me and, be surrounded by a lot of children. But when it comes to little people and them having a voice and them need someone to advocate for them, that's definitely me. I've been a guardian ad litem in different states. It's known as something else, but basically, it's like being a social worker, but you're not paid. You volunteer for little people and you stick up for them that are in like the foster care. Sometimes you're asked to go to court. Sometimes you have to do home visits, just to follow up after a social worker. Sometimes if a social worker doesn't make it, you have volunteers that are guardian ad litem or whatever they call them in different states. But I've done that. I started classes to be a foster parent, but I stopped because I got derailed. I ended up having to take somebody in that was an elderly person. And so that kind of derailed my plans. And then something else happened. So maybe at some point I might continue to be like an emergency care foster, but not have like a child to foster because as time goes and as I age, the travel bug is biting me. So, it's difficult to travel with children, and I'll be an empty nester pretty soon. So kind of looking forward to just, having my freedom to come and go and do as I please. So yes, the subject that I'll be delving into tonight does have to do with children, and it is a tad weighty, but I'm not one to shy away from tough things, tough topics. And because I realize that, life isn't all the way gumdrops and glitter 100%. I was watching a video. I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was with a monk. And I remember his words were something like this, like, one thing you can guarantee about life is um, someone will betray you. You will lose loved ones. You'll definitely lose people that you're close to. People that you love and cherish the most will die. Um, you will be hurt. You'll be disappointed. And that's just part of life. And the sooner you accept it, the easier life gets, because then you'll have a way of you find ways of dealing with it. First, you accept it, and then you find ways of dealing with it and resolving issues. Resolution becomes a little bit more difficult, and then you don't become as devastated when all these things occur in your life. So, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the DC Freeway Phantom, but in 1971, 1972, Southeast DC was plagued by a series of heinous murders. There were 6 Black girls aged from age 10 to 18 were abducted, murdered, and left along I-295. That is the Anacosta Freeway. So that way he or she, whoever the perpetrator is, earned the moniker Freeway Phantom murders. The impact of the victims' families was profound, and it was compounded by strained relations between law enforcement and the Black community. And not that I'm laughing about the situation, but it just seems like it's inevitable that the Black community and law enforcement, for some reason, uh, there's always something there. So why, you ask the question, do they try hard enough? Do they put more effort when it comes to crimes against the Black community? Or is it just, well, they do it to themselves type of attitude? I don't know. Anyway, the Black community in Southwest DC, the perceived lack of urgency from the authorities led to the case going cold, leaving it unsolved even to this day. And the perpetrator was never caught. And so esteemed public radio correspondent Celeste Headley has dedicated the past 2 years to meticulously examine evidence and engaging with community members to uncover insights into what could be DC's earliest serial killings rather. Collaborating with Romaine Jenkins, which is a former DC homicide detective who reopened the case, Headley has brought fresh perspective to the tragic events. Her latest podcast is called Freeway Phantom. It was produced by Black Bar Mitzvah. It delves into evidence that holds promise for potentially resolving the case. The initial 2 episodes were released last week, offering a glimpse into the Headley's investigative journey. We had the opportunity, whoever they had the opportunity to speak with her about the podcast and the investigative processes that were currently taking place. And so from me listening to some of the podcasts and just reading up on some of the strides to resolve this case, some of the things that I gathered from the information gathering is as such. Now, 3 months following the initial murder, detectives reported that the unidentified perpetrator, referred to as the Phantom, committed another heinous crime by abducting, raping, and murdering a 16-year-old girl. Her name was Darlene Johnson. Despite 2 individuals alerting the authorities after discovering her body, she was not located until 11 days later. Now, after someone expires, having the body just decomposing and decomposing, you lose evidence. You never know if that person scratched the perpetrator or bit them or whatever. But the longer the body's just there deteriorating, of course, evidence disappears. What if an animal comes by and starts? So, of course, this is very, very, very disturbing. So concerned parents in the southeast area were advised to be vigilant. Subsequently, the killer targeted 10-year-old Brenda Crockett in the northeast region, followed by 12-year-old, I want to get this right, Nino Mosha. So Nenomosha. I think that's Nino Mosha Yates in the northeast. The last known sighting of 18-year-old Brenda Woodward was at a bus stop on M Street, and that is the northeast area, as per the police reports. Now, a year later, the Phantom returned to southeast and targeted 17-year-old Diane Williams, whose sister she held a position as a DC police lieutenant. Her name is Patricia Williams, and she's the sister of one of the victims, and she expressed a desire for the perpetrator to confess to the crimes. There was actually a note that was found in Brenda Woodward's pocket, and it contained a taunting message directed at law enforcement. So yeah, this definitely, the perpetrator was known to bathe his victims before disposing of their bodies, and possibly as an attempt to cleanse himself or of the guilt, or to evade the detection by law enforcement, and whatever techniques they used back in the 1970s. And we don't know if that was one of the processes. But anyway, we're gonna look at an example of how families were affected. Now, Patricia Williams, she's an officer for 26 years with the Washington D.C. Metropolitan Police, and she built a long-standing career helping families work through obstacles, and through a lot of crisis. Now, she, couldn't help but feeling useless about the case that hits home. So all this time she's helping other families. She's working for years on solving crimes and helping through crisis, and helping other families. The one case that she felt completely useless about was the one concerning her sister. Patricia was 15 years old at the time on September 5th, 1972, and that's when her 17-year-old sister visited her boyfriend and did not return home that night. Now, at this time, the newspaper article was already written about a Freeway Phantom kidnapping and taking the lives of young Black girls and leaving their bodies along the Washington area, in the roadways. It was like a 9 to 17 month spree that terrorized the community. Patricia's sister, her abandoned body was discovered, and authorities identified Diane's case as the sixth and final victim of a serial killer, and almost 50 years later, that perpetrator has not been found. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and look at the video, so you can feel what one victim's family has experienced. So go ahead and roll the video, and we'll just observe it, see, get your comments.
Was in homicide, and I remember when Carol Spinks's case happened. She was a 13-year-old Black female. April the 25th, she went to the grocery store. Her mother watched her go into the store, and on May the 1st, that's when her remains were found. The autopsy shows that she had been strangled. There is some type of sexual assault, and whoever had her kept her alive for several days because there was food content found in her stomach by the medical examiner. There were 6 cases. Everybody is strangled. There is some type of sexual assault in most of the cases. Some of them are found on interstates. Darlene Johnson was a 16-year-old female. She lived in the same neighborhood as Carol Spinks. She's only found 15 feet from where Carol Spinks is. So their bodies are basically in the same area. Brenda Faye Crockett is a 10-year-old female. She goes to the store alone. She doesn't come back right away. The next morning, her body is found by a hitchhiker on Route 50. Nina Moshe Yates was 13 years of age. She was sent to the grocery store by her father, which is a block from her house. Same neighborhood, the store and her home. Almost 2 hours later, her remains are found on Route 4. Brenda Woodard, she was 18 when she left night school. She caught the bus. The next day, her body is found. Prince George's Hospital, Route 202. Inside her coat pocket, because her coat was draped over her, there was a note from the killer. This is tantamount to my insensitivity to people, especially women. I'll admit the others if you catch me if you can, Freeway Phantom. Diane Williams, I believe, was 18. She had gone to visit her boyfriend, and she was coming home on the bus. The next day, her body is found on Route 295, southbound, inside the District of Columbia.
Yeah, that was very heavy. So that was Patricia, and like I said, Patricia, she is the sister of one of the victims, and she also was a detective for many many years. That was so hard to watch. I don't know about anybody else, and the one thing that it's so difficult for me to comprehend is how does one um, just disassociate themselves with all human kindness, all human thought, all human anything humane, any humane feelings, and just decide to stalk and a person, a human being, especially a little person, kids, just stalk them like they're prey. Um, like, if it was, I don't know, like a hyena, like stalking a lion or something in the jungle, they do things like that for survival. But then when you think of a human being, an adult, um, that just does this to a baby, a 10-year old, a 11-year old. There's no fighting chance. There's no nothing. And I know there's one thing that really just bothers me is when people say, oh, mental illness is real or that is not the act of someone that is mentally ill. I just want to let you know that there is a difference. A mentally ill person has their own struggles. They are going through anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, multiple personalities. That's someone that's mentally ill. But when you have someone that commits heinous crimes and they think about it, it's something that's premeditated, and they're stalking their victim, especially a child, a little defenseless, unsuspecting child. That is not mental illness. That is satanic. That is the act of someone who gives no regard for life at all. And I feel as though that they really just disassociate with anything that is human, anything that is good, anything that is, there's something there that just makes them pure 100% evil. And as I had mentioned earlier in the show, that there was a note that the Freeway Phantom had left in one of his victims' pockets. And that was the note that you saw in the video. So um, not only did he stalk them and rape them and murder them and then, you know, gave them a bath, so he's handling a body after it expires and just continues to disrespect them and then just takes them and dumps them just along the freeway like you would dump a bag of unfinished McDonald's or something like that. Just absolutely no regard for humanity. And these people have the these babies have parents, and these babies have siblings, and you wreck an entire community. Because I know it on my street, if we're close knit in my community, and so we look out for each other. Even just this morning, my neighbor sent me a text. It was early this morning, and it was like, I'm coming home, um, because this neighbor works overnight, comes home early in the morning, sends me a text. I don't know if you want to walk the kids to the bus stop, but I was just looking at my camera, and there is a guy just riding the bike back and forth, like right behind me, and I'm not coming out the car. I'm gonna, have my husband come out. And I mean, I didn't even finish the text. I went into the kitchen, grabbed the biggest knife that I could find, and I just rolled outside like a mad person. um, nightgown still on because it was early in the morning, nightgown still on and knife. And I had to urinate so badly. And I was like, it's on. It's just on. Like someone's gonna, and I'm texting, like, is everything okay? You on the bus? Da, da, da. Make sure, okay. And I'm like walking down the street, walking back and forth because I'm like, it's going down. And of course, I have my neighbor is looking out with the husband, and then, but luckily, everything was good. But God forbids, we've experienced things in our neighborhood, and like the whole neighborhood comes together. So you take away the safety that we are supposed to have, our security that we're supposed to have from an entire community. And this is what this community has been going through and has been feeling for like over 50 years. So, it was a very difficult and heavy story to take on, but I didn't know about it before. I think I may have heard about it some years back, but then I always thought that the perpetrator was caught and punished, but to find out that no, this person was never caught. So I was like, you know what, I want to cover this story and bring some light. And again, I don't give answers. Someone else told me, like, what is your stance on certain things? There's certain things that I don't have a stance on. I just do stories and topics just to evoke conversation so I could just get people talking about it. Not really that I take a stance on this or that, or, I have a definitive opinion and I'm going to cram it down your throat and convince you to believe what I believe. It's just that let's go ahead and spark some conversation. Let's go ahead and get things going, and maybe collectively we can come up with solutions and permanent solutions where everyone is on the same page, and we can resolve things on a more permanent basis. So those are some of the reasons why I cover some topics. So anyway, there was a People magazine with Patricia, who is the detective that you saw in the video. And in a People magazine article, Patricia said, and this is her words. She says, Diane and I were about as close as siblings could get. I lost my trust for people. I didn't trust anybody because I didn't know who did this. I've always been shy, but I stayed like that because of my sister's death. And I did not try to even venture out. She continues on and she says this. but I also lived. She said that, I did not want her death to be mine. So I try to live as I can and try to be positive as much as I can. I never believed at the time that joining the police department, or even while I was on the police department, that I was compelled to do so because of my sister's death, she says. But at the same time, I always hoped and prayed that while I was on the police department, that I was compelled to do so because of my sister's death. Um, at the same time, I always hoped and prayed that while I was on the police department, that the case would be closed and I would be a part of it. So, while she's working, you can see, or you can tell, and you can feel that she's just like, okay, I'm working these other cases, but while I'm here doing my work, I want to be the one to solve this. I want to be the one to resolve this for my sister. She wants to adjudicate for her sister. She wants to be the advocate. She wants to make sure that whoever did this to her sister is caught. And if she did it, I believe it would give her a sense of closure. That's just what I think. Um, you know who else was also hoping and praying? That's also the person is the mother of Diane, and her name is Margaret. Now, if you are a parent, or if you took care of children, if you're an aunt or grandma, and to outlive, first of all, outliving your child, it just seems like one of the most unnatural things for you to have to, a parent having to bury a kid. It just seems completely unnatural. And so, having her mom, one of the things she's quoted as saying, she says, I know that she's resting in peace and it doesn't matter to her anymore, but I'd like to know who did it anyway. And the big question is, why? The big question is why? Why? What was the point? What did you accomplish? What was your goal? What was your end goal? Why? You wanted to hurt people? And you can tell by the note, the note admitted that he had issues with women, but these were little girls. And these were women who had nothing to do with him. These were little girls. They didn't have a chance to grow up to be women. So, there's a common belief that a diverse range of individuals is necessary to operate society effectively. However, it is difficult to comprehend the role of individuals who prey on and inflict harm on children within the fabric of society. To illustrate how much of a stain this is on the community, this happened in 1972. And when you read interviews about it, it is remarkable how vividly individuals in that community recall that period, even after a century has passed. The impact of these murders on the neighborhoods were profound, instilling fear and terror. The abduction of the beloved children just snatched away and left a lasting mark in the community, and the reoccurring nature of the crimes only heightened the sense of helplessness and frustration among the residents. Recollection of that time still evokes feelings of fear and frustration as people lament their inability to protect the girls and lack of effective assistance from law enforcement or other sources. The memories of the 1972 continue to evoke the same fear experienced during the tumultuous period. Now, I do admire how truly remarkable how these families cope with such traumatic and senseless crimes, whether it be through faith, through hope, or the belief that their loved ones are now at peace, allowing them to find solace and relief from worry about their safety and security. Whatever strength sustains them during these difficult times, I also pray that the malevolent individuals responsible for those heinous acts are apprehended, and that justice is swiftly and decisively served. without any leniency. So that's our show today, my loyal family. The Supernova Tosha Show podcast can be heard on these apps such as Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, or iHeartRadio. Of course, the goal is to be on the top 10 best podcast list to listen to. So please share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and spread the word. I am so grateful for your time. I do want to thank you for being so attentive, and I appreciate your presence. Be careful, be safe, and as they say in the islands, walk good, peace be still.